Welcome back to English Podcast course. Today, we'll practice fun English conversations for.
So, picture this. It's 11 p.m., and that faucet in the kitchen starts dripping again, like some sort of water torture. My dad suddenly stands up like he's on a mission. Have you ever seen someone so confident about something you know is going to go sideways?
Oh, my uncle turns into a faucet superhero, cape and all, except, the cape is just an old bathrobe. The confidence is wild, and the toolbox looks like it's been through a zombie apocalypse. I always get popcorn because it's about to get entertaining.
Yes. There's always that moment where he squints at the pipe, taps it twice, like maybe it'll fix itself if he just shows it who's boss. He's got this look, like, don't worry. I watched a YouTube video. I've got this.
That YouTube confidence is dangerous. 1 second it's hand me the wrench, and the next it's where's the shutoff valve. As if locating that thing is some secret family test. And by then, water is mysteriously everywhere.
Speaking of tools, why is the one tool you actually need always missing? Dad's shifting through 3 hammers, a garden trowel, and somehow a tape measure from 1997. But that one tiny wrench? Gone.
I swear, it's like the tools sprout legs and bolt for the door the second there's a plumbing emergency. The best part is the blame game. Who took my Phillips head? Like the screwdriver just hopped into my backpack for a joyride.
And then he settles for the wrong tool, muttering, "This'll work." You know disaster's imminent when the butter knife comes out. That's the universal sign the pipes should brace themselves.
Butter knives are like Swiss Army knives for dads, totally not designed for the job, but somehow always involved. I once watched my cousin use one to tighten a bolt, and the knife literally bent in half. Legendary?
Last time we tried a quick fix, I turned around and suddenly there's a mini Old Faithful shooting out of the sink. Dad's yelling for towels. My sister's shrieking. It was like a water park popped up in the kitchen.
Oh, you got the geyser. We just get the slow creeping puddle that sneaks across the floor. 1 minute it's fine, and then bam, socks are soaked, and the dog thinks it's bath time.
What's wild is how Dad still insists he's got it under control, even as water is pooling like a moat around the fridge. He's wading through it like he's on some plumbing survival show.
That unstoppable optimism is part of the charm, though. It's like, if you pretend long enough that you're winning, maybe the pipes will give up and fix themselves out of pity.
The real plot twist. Admitting defeat and calling in an actual plumber. You'd think Dad was being forced to surrender his championship belt. There's a brief negotiation, maybe one more try, but the water damage says otherwise.
Yeah, and when the plumber shows up, it's like the pro athlete has arrived. Dad hovers, tries to explain what almost worked, like he's handing off a relay race baton nobody asked for.
I can never tell if the plumber is amused or just quietly judging. Sometimes I think they've seen it all, 1,000 dads, 1,000,000 close calls, and more improvisational plumbing than a circus.
My favorite part is how the pro fixes it in like 10 minutes, and suddenly the faucet is working perfectly. Dad will say, "Well, at least we loosened it up for him." Classic save face move.
All jokes aside, I've got to admit, I kind of love these chaotic repair nights. There's always a mess, some new inside joke, and usually a midnight snack after we mop up. Somehow, the faucet drama brings everyone together.
That's the best part. No matter how soaked the kitchen gets or how many tools vanish, we get these weirdly fun memories. Plus, next time there's a drip, you just know Dad's going to announce round 2 like a prize fighter.
He's undefeated in spirit, at least. And honestly, I'm already gearing up for the next throwdown with the pipes. Who needs a boring Saturday night when you can have a water battle and a family pizza party?
Bring on the leaky faucets. As long as there's laughter and snacks at the end, I say let the plumbing adventures continue. Maybe next time we'll even find that missing wrench, but I'm not holding my breath.
You know that sinking feeling when your devices start flashing that no internet warning, and suddenly you're offline like it's 1998? That happened to me last night, right as I was about to stream the season finale.
Oof, brutal timing. It always seems to happen right when you're counting on it most. For me, it's always during a video call with my boss, never just when I'm scrolling memes.
Why does Wi-Fi have such a flair for dramatic entrances and exits? It's like, oh, you need me now? Watch me disappear. I swear, my router knows when something important is happening.
Honestly, I think routers have a sixth sense for deadlines and cliffhangers. I've started keeping a backup hotspot just for those betrayals. But let's talk about the chaos that follows once you realize you're officially disconnected.
As soon as the internet's gone, I turn into a detective on a mission, checking cables, glowing lights, and basically interrogating the router. It's like CSI, Home Network Edition.
That totally resonates. Last month, I even started narrating my moves Suspect 1, the Ethernet cable. Motive: loosened during cleaning. My family just stared, but at least it kept me entertained while I crawled under the desk.
I always end up in absurd positions, half under the couch with a flashlight, convinced I've found some secret button that will fix everything. Meanwhile, my phone keeps telling me to try reconnecting to the network. Gee, thanks, genius.
That auto advice is the worst. Like, have you tried turning it off and on again? Oh, speaking of that classic move, do you ever get nervous when you finally commit to rebooting the router?
Every single time. There's a weird sense of power and dread when you unplug the router. I always count to 10, like I'm defusing a bomb. 9, 10, please work.
I do the same countdown. Sometimes I even bargain with the universe. If my Wi-Fi comes back, I promise I'll stop streaming videos at 3 a.m. Spoiler, I never keep that promise.
It's almost like our routers have a sense of humor. Half the time, just a reboot brings everything back to life. But when it doesn't, I start questioning my entire existence, and my provider's customer service line gets very familiar.
Funny you mention customer service, because last time I called, they asked if I'd tried unplugging it yet. I almost laughed. Yes, I've been counting electrons over here. But let's get into those troubleshooting tips that actually make a difference.
So besides the classic reboot, I've found that moving the router out from behind furniture seems to help. I always forget it until nothing else works, and suddenly, my signal's stronger than ever.
Absolutely. Placement is everything. Once, I balanced my router on a stack of books next to a window. My neighbors probably got better Wi-Fi than I did, but at least it reached my kitchen.
I've also tried switching the channel on the router settings. It sounds techy, but honestly felt like flipping through old-school radio stations until I landed on one with less static. Sometimes it actually helps with interference.
Channel hopping is underrated, and here's one. Disconnect a few old devices you barely use. My smart fridge was hogging bandwidth to update its weather app. Who knew?
After all those tricks, sometimes you just have to accept defeat and step away. I've ended up reading a book or wild idea, talking to my family face-to-face while waiting for Wi-Fi to return.
It's humbling, isn't it? The other night, I rediscovered my board game shelf during an outage. Turns out, Monopoly is just as rage-inducing offline as it is online.
The silver lining is that these Wi-Fi meltdowns give us a break, however forced. And hey, half the time, by the time you're done with a round of Jenga, the internet magically comes back.
Exactly. It's a modern rite of passage. Next time the no internet warning pops up, maybe it's just the universe saying, go outside for a minute. Or at least, try turning it off and on one more time for good measure.
So, you know that feeling when you stare at a massive to-do list and just want to hide under the covers? Big goals can feel so overwhelming that even starting seems impossible.
I've been there sometimes. Just the idea of a huge project makes my brain freeze. It's like my motivation packs up and leaves the building before I've even written a single bullet point.
Totally. I once had this plan to run a marathon, and just researching the training schedule made me exhausted. It's wild how the size of a goal can totally psych us out.
And it's not just big events. Either it's those everyday changes we want to make too. like eating healthier or saving money. The finish line feels so far off, I end up scrolling memes for an hour instead.
Funny thing is, the times I've actually made progress were when I shrunk tasks down into tiny steps. Like, instead of run a marathon, it became put running shoes by the door.
That's the trick! I once decided to write a book, but all I could manage at first was to open a blank document. That was my victory for day one. Eventually, those little moves added up.
Those little wins are sneaky. They build momentum without us even noticing. Suddenly, you're halfway through chapter 3 or out jogging before you've had time to second-guess yourself.
It's almost like tricking your own brain. You focus on the next small thing, not the end of the mountain. That's way less intimidating and honestly more fun.
Of course, even with small steps, setbacks happen. There are days I totally bail on the plan and binge-watch reality TV instead of doing anything productive.
Oh, same. Sometimes I'll skip 3 days in a row and convince myself I've ruined everything. But taking a step back, I've realized progress isn't a straight line. Off days are just part of it.
Honestly, I think forgiving yourself is maybe the most important step of all. One bad day doesn't undo a week of effort.
And those mini setbacks? Sometimes they're a cue to adjust your approach. Maybe you need smaller steps or just a different kind of motivation.
What surprised me most is how motivation isn't always there when you need it. Sometimes you have to start the motion first, and motivation catches up after.
Completely agree, because waiting around for inspiration is a recipe for getting nowhere. I find just doing one little thing like making that call or cleaning a single drawer can kickstart everything else.
It's like the action itself creates some kind of energy. The hardest part is starting, but once you do, the next step is weirdly easier.
Kind of like dominoes. You tip over the first one, and the rest start falling into place. Even if you have to reset sometimes, that first push is gold.
After all that, I think it's so key to celebrate every little win. I used to ignore the small stuff, but now I'll actually high-five myself after ticking off a tough email.
I love that. Treating small steps like big victories keeps things fun. Sometimes I'll reward myself with an extra long coffee break or just brag to a friend that I finally finished something.
It all adds up. Those tiny celebrations make the process way less of a slog, and suddenly the big goal doesn't seem so impossible anymore.
And before you know it, you look back and realize you've come so much farther than you thought. Step by step really does get you there.
I swear, every time my alarm goes off before 7 a.m., it feels like I've been woken by some ancient curse. Why is crawling out of bed so brutal, especially when you're trying to start a morning exercise routine?
I get that. My brain always invents the wildest excuses to stay under the covers, like suddenly I'll convince myself my floor is made of lava, just so I don't have to get up. It's weird how mornings can turn us all into creative procrastinators.
Seriously. And then there's that moment when you contemplate whether morning exercise is worth sacrificing those last precious minutes of sleep. I always tell myself, I'll just work out later. But that rarely happens.
Oh, I've given myself that same pep talk. By late afternoon, my motivation's usually vanished and my couch seems extra inviting. But once in a blue moon, when I actually do get up, it sort of feels magical, like I've unlocked a secret level.
That makes me think sometimes I have to trick myself just to stand up. I'll put my phone across the room so I have no choice but to stagger over to shut off the alarm. Do you have any weird get-out-of-bed hacks?
I've definitely tried that. My latest move is setting out my workout clothes right next to the bed. If I can at least get those on without thinking, I'm halfway there. One time, though, I literally rolled onto the floor and just laid there, questioning my life choices.
That's a whole new level of commitment. Or maybe it's just surrender. Either way, I totally relate. Sometimes the biggest victory is just not crawling back in. It's like, hey, I'm vertical. I deserve a medal.
You'd think NASA would send us congratulation emails for those mornings, but honestly, it sets the tone for the whole day. Even if I end up jogging in mismatched socks, I feel like I've won something before breakfast.
Once you're up, the next challenge is not scaring yourself off with some impossible workout. I used to think I had to do an hour-long run, but that just made me dread mornings even more.
I know what you mean. The pressure to go all in can backfire. I switched to quick stretches or just a 10-minute dance session to start. Turns out, blasting cheesy pop songs and moving around is way more motivating at 7 a.m.
Cheesy pop songs should honestly be classified as performance enhancers. Sometimes I'll just do a couple of yoga poses and call it a win. Who says you have to run a marathon before breakfast?
Exactly. It's all about what actually gets you moving. I met someone who considers walking their dog their morning workout, and honestly, their dog seems fitter than I am at this point.
You know, the biggest opponent in my morning exercise saga isn't the workout itself, it's my own brain. Every rationalization comes out when the alarm rings. Have you found any tricks to outsmart yourself?
Honestly, if there's a world championship for snooze button strategies, I'm in the finals. But I figured out leaving myself a goofy motivational note on my phone helps, like, get up, future you wants abs.
I love that. Sometimes future me needs a little tough love. I've tried promising myself fancy coffee if I make it through a workout. I'm not above bribery when it comes to fitness.
Hey, whatever works, right? Coffee, breakfast, the satisfaction of smugly telling your friends, yeah, I worked out this morning. I'll take any edge I can get.
Looking back, as much as I grumble, the days I actually do get up and move, I'm just in a way better mood. Even if I'm tired, it somehow makes the whole day smoother.
Totally. I notice I'm less cranky and weirdly productive after a morning workout. It's like giving your brain a jump start, even if your muscles are still half asleep.
Sometimes I wish I could bottle that post-workout energy and save it for the rest of the week. But I guess part of the magic is that you have to actually earn it each morning.
That's the thing. It's a tiny victory before most people have even had coffee. And on days when it doesn't happen, well, there's always tomorrow's alarm to try again.
So, I was thinking about how every week, no matter how busy things get, my family tries to carve out a little us time. It's like this tiny ritual that keeps us all sane. Do you have anything like that in your world?
Oh, definitely though. Sometimes it's more chaotic than calming. We have this Sunday pancake breakfast tradition, and even if someone's running late or the pancakes come out a little experimental, it's a highlight. It's funny how those little pockets of family time end up mattering so much, isn't it?
Completely agree. Even when everyone's just sort of half awake, those moments stick with you. I swear, my family's best inside jokes were born over burnt toast or someone spilling juice.
Spilled juice. That's basically our family mascot. But you're right, those messy, imperfect moments somehow become the most memorable. And you know, it actually leads me to think about how language, especially English in our case, weaves itself into these family times too.
That actually reminds me my family started doing English time for fun just to practice speaking. At first, it felt super awkward. Like, why are we suddenly pretending we're on a British baking show in our kitchen?
I've been there. My dad would insist we all use English at dinner, and it was equal parts hilarious and embarrassing. But after a while, it turned into this goofy competition who could come up with the weirdest phrase or the best pun.
Exactly. It stops feeling like homework and starts being more like a game. Plus, everyone lets their guard down, which is rare with family sometimes.
Totally. There's something about getting everyone stumbling over tongue twisters or mispronouncing words that just makes you laugh together. It's English practice, but it's also just an excuse to have fun as a group.
You know, I never expected language learning to bond us more, but it sort of sneaks up on you. Suddenly everyone's a teacher and a student at the same time.
Yeah, and it's not even about being perfect. My little brother once tried to say, "The early bird catches the worm," and ended up with, "The worm eats breakfast first." We still quote him on that every time someone oversleeps.
Ha! That's classic. Those moments kind of level the playing field. No one's worried about mistakes. It's just about connecting. I think that's what makes it stick.
Maybe that's why English time works so much better than formal lessons at home. When it's mixed with laughter and family chaos, it's just part of life, not a separate chore.
It does get tricky, though keeping things interesting so the routine doesn't get stale. Sometimes we switch it up with word games or even silly debates. Last week, it was, is cereal soup? And you'd be shocked at the passion that unleashed.
Oh, debates turn my family into amateur lawyers. We once argued for 20 minutes about whether a hot dog counts as a sandwich, all in English, of course. It's wild how these random topics can get everyone talking.
Exactly. It's less about the English and more about creating moments where everyone feels involved. And honestly, hearing my grandma call a hot dog a bread taco made my week.
Haha, bread taco is iconic. I think those spontaneous bits of creativity are what keep everyone coming back for more. It's not forced, it's just family being family, with a dash of English on top.
Looking back, it's wild how these tiny traditions stick with us. Even when life gets hectic, those memories, bad puns, breakfast debates, all of it, they're kind of the glue that keeps us together.
Couldn't agree more. I moved out a couple years ago, but every phone call with my family still has at least one English joke or callback to our old debates. It's like those shared moments are always right there, no matter how far apart we are.
That's honestly the best part. The language skills are great, sure, but it's the laughter and connection that stick. Family time and English time, it's a combo I never would have expected to matter so much. But here we are.
Exactly, and who knows, maybe in 20 years we'll be embarrassing our own kids with the same terrible puns and accidental breakfast wisdom. Some traditions are too good to let go.
You know, lately I've been thinking about how my apartment's never really felt as safe as it does now. There's just something different about coming home and genuinely relaxing instead of bracing for whatever's next.
I totally get that. For me, it's all about those tiny rituals like locking up, making a cup of tea, and sinking into the couch. It's like my own fortress after a long day.
Absolutely. And it's kind of wild how a safe home isn't just about locks or alarms. Sometimes it's the vibe, the little routines. Remember when we were kids and a blanket fort made us feel invincible?
Oh, for sure. There's a reason we all built those forts. Even now, I think lighting a scented candle or playing some music gives me that same cozy, protected feeling.
Actually, now that I think about it, I only started feeling this secure when I changed up my space a bit. Swapped out some old lighting, added extra locks. It made a surprising difference.
That makes a lot of sense. After I finally upgraded my ancient windows, the weird creaks stopped keeping me up at night. It's amazing how a couple of tangible changes can ease your mind.
Funny you mention windows. I switched my curtains to blackout ones, and suddenly my room felt like this private, peaceful bubble. It's almost like you can engineer peace of mind.
Yeah, and it's not just about fixing what's broken. Sometimes adding something like a little plant or an air purifier makes the whole place feel safer, even if it's just psychological.
What strikes me is that feeling safe at home isn't just about locks and bolts. It's about emotional safety too. The sense that you can be yourself, let your guard down.
Big time. I noticed when I lived with roommates I barely knew. My own place never fully felt like mine. It took moving in with my best friend before I could finally breathe out and just be me.
Oh, I've been there. There's a huge relief in not worrying if you'll get judged for blasting cheesy music or having cereal for dinner. That stuff matters way more than I realized.
Totally. Even silly things like dancing in the kitchen in pajamas feel completely different when you know your space is safe emotionally, not just physically.
You know, the more I think about it, the more I realize my little habits at home are what make it feel like a true sanctuary. I light that same candle every night, like clockwork. It's almost a signal to my brain. You're safe here.
That's like my playlist. I hit play on my favorite mellow songs and suddenly the stress of the day sort of fades away. It's weird how those habits create such a powerful sense of comfort.
And it's not just solo rituals either. Inviting friends over for movie nights or Sunday brunch gives the place a whole different energy. It's like you're layering good memories onto the space.
Exactly. There's something about shared laughter echoing in your home that makes it even safer. Like, if the walls could talk, they'd tell stories of joy, not just anxiety.
So, stepping back, I guess I used to think safe just meant not being in physical danger. Now, it's so much broader: peace, personal expression, even a kind of warmth you can't really explain.
You nailed it. Safe is a feeling, not just a checklist. When you start trusting that your home's the one place you can let your guard down, everything else feels a little bit easier to handle.
It's wild. So much of our energy goes into making our homes look good. But feeling truly safe, there might be the best upgrade of all.
Couldn't agree more. And honestly, once you get a taste of that kind of safety at home, you never really want to settle for less anywhere else.
Thanks you and see you next time.